And we're continuing our interview with the Macon Water Authority candidates, and now we're moving on to District 1 incumbent Dr. Anissa Jones-Aiken. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what you think it is most important for the voters to know about you?
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me today. And my name is Dr. Anissa Jones-Aiken. I am a board certified chiropractor. I'm also a best-selling author, and I have the pleasure of being an international speaker. But my best thing that I've done in the last 5 years is been voted as the District 1 representative for the Macon Water Authority, where I get an opportunity each day to give back to the community, which has given so much to me. I would not be who I am today if it was not for the community support of Macon-Bibb County. And so I do and serve with lots of pride the District 1 as well as all of Macon-Bibb County, to make certain that not only that you get the clean water, sewer, and now stormwater that you deserve, but to make sure that life gets a whole lot easier for those that actually provide those services for us, those wonderful employees at the Macon Water Authority as well.
So you grew up around here and everything?
I did. I am from Macon. Born and raised here. I grew up on Short Street, which is right in Fort Hill. And I had an opportunity as a small child just to kind of see things work a little bit differently. And I knew that that's what I wanted for myself, was to do more. And the only way that you can really see a city progressively get to a place where you want it to be, you got to get your hands dirty, which means you got to get out there, you got to serve, and serve willingly and significantly.
So why is it that you want to serve again on the Macon Water Authority?
Sure. When I initially thought about this position, it was really to increase economic development here in Macon-Bibb County. I know that, everybody always says that, Macon has this or Macon has that as a respect to crime. But my thing is that I think Macon has a poverty issue. And if we can get more lucrative businesses to come here to our city, now we have more livable wages that folks can have for jobs. And now we can increase their capacity, and that could be for education, capacity for growth for their family, capacity for health care. All of those things changes when you have the money to be able to afford certain things. So one of my reasons for wanting to be a member of the Water Authority Board was so that we could be an attractive as it relates to our water capacity to bring those type of industries to the Macon-Bibb County area.
Do you think that the Macon Water Authority should have taken over the stormwater management, and why?
I have mixed emotions about that. I'll tell you that initially when it came to us, I was one of the members that was on the fence about it, because I felt like, we were going to inherit something that wasn't working as it should be. A word that comes to mind is deplorable, because that's the conditions that it was in. And I knew that as a ratepayer, most people would not be understanding of that type of position that we would be in as inheriting it. They want results, they want resolutions, they want it done, and they want it done quickly. And unfortunately, when you're assuming over something from another place, you got to do your due diligence. We got to figure out what the problem is. That takes time, investments of money. And then once you figure out what the problem is, now you got to tier it on how you take care of it. This is going to be, we're going to start with the things that are most emergency state first, and then it kind of trickles down from that. And I also know that, as ratepayers, they're like, okay, well, what about all the money that was supposed to had already gone into maintaining this type of infrastructure over the years? We're getting questions like that every day. But unfortunately, because we weren't over it at that time, whatever they did with those funds, we really don't know it, and we can't account for that. We can only account for our position today, and that is that we thought that it was the best decision for the citizens of Macon Bibb, including myself, that a company that already has been tried and true on taking care of our water, taking care of our sewage in an award-winning manner, was the only option to get our storm water to that same type of level. And I'll tell you this, Liz, is that unfortunately, seeing it in its glory, both of us won't be here to see that. But what we will be able to leave is a legacy for our children and our children's children, to know that as they grow up in this city, that we did the right thing. We did the right thing in 2020. We did the right thing in 2021. And we're doing the right thing today, making it a better, feasible city where people are safe and people are healthy when that water comes out of the sky.
Y'all made the decision not to bill anybody for a year. So when
Right.
people started getting billing this year, I know that y'all have heard from pastors and business owners and industries and ratepayers.
Right.
So how do you explain the role of stormwater management and the reason why people have to pay money?
Yeah, it's a community issue, and I think most people don't really see it that way. They see it more as, oh, that's the thing that the city should do for us to make sure, that things are done in a right, I guess. But really, it's a responsibility of us all. We all are laying some type of imprint on the world, and the things that we do, the way that our buildings are designed, has an immediate effect on how that water flows back to the Muggy River. And so if we don't have built easements, built inlays in our homes, it could cause us to have issues with things like flooding with stormwater. And so how do you pay for that? How do you make sure that there is a wonderful flow of water from your property back to the river? Is that we have to have the proper infrastructure in place for that. Some communities, and I can only talk about some that I've seen myself, and I'm going to share with you some of the urgencies of South Macon. Unfortunately, when they started building out there, Liz, it was country land. It was a whole lot of grass, not a whole lot of pavement or paved roads like we have today. And so what happened is people were allowed to build on those properties, and no one was thinking futuristic of the design of that community and how it was going to progressively grow. And so because no one had the forethought to say, let's have stormwater infrastructure that's going to be robust enough to take care of this industry that's growing out there, you're having families now that are having to have the brunt of water coming back up into their homes. And so we have labeled it as an emergency situation. We are taking the initiative to do what needs to be done for those families out there, so that they aren't having the issues that they're having right now. But we do need is patience, because it takes time and it takes revenue to be able to do all of those things.
What do you think is the biggest challenge that the authority faces, and how would you solve it?
As it relates to stormwater
Or anything.
or anything.
It can be stormwater or whatever. What do you think is the big challenge for the authority?
I think our biggest challenge right now, if we're going to just keep it focused on storm water, is making sure that we are doing enough to make sure that our ratepayers really understand why it's necessary for us as a collective to have this burden and pay for it. I do know that when we did make the decision to wait and hold off a whole year before we started charging the community for it, that was the reason why we did that. I was the one that came up with that whole entire thought process of, listen, if we're gonna save our ratepayers a whole year of paying a rate, we need to be using that entire year as an opportunity to let them know what's coming, why we have to do it this way, and what the conditions of the infrastructure was before we assumed the responsibility. And I will tell you, I have to take responsibility just like the rest of the members that are currently serving. A lot of stuff happened. COVID happened during that time. We were trying to maintain safety for the people that worked for the authority. We had a change in leadership that happened, which was major for the authority. So we had to go into a hiring frenzy to get someone to be into that position that they are right now. And then we started trying to educate the community after that. And so if I had to come up with the one thing that I wish we could really hone into is making it more accessible for folks to really know what it is without using all the big fancy college words.
And is there a new idea or policy or change that you would advocate for if you were elected to another term?
Sure. I'm continuing to work with reducing the stormwater fees for everybody. I do believe that if we work really closely with our federal government, our state government, we may be able to find some extra funds out there which could help with our agenda that we have, and that is to make sure that when that water comes out of the sky, that it's flowing back to the Upmuggy River without causing harm or danger to any of our homes or our vehicles on the way. So working more closely with our senators, our congressmen, to see whether or not there is any maybe FEMA money that could be appropriated to our area would be a start, something that I definitely have already started communicating with one of the senator camps about at this time. So what I don't want it to happen is that we kind of lose the momentum that I've already started in trying to get some relief for our community in respect to stormwater.
And your former Water Authority colleague, Desmond Brown, has been leveling accusations that Bill Howell had altered the district maps in order to include your new business on Cherry Street.
Right.
How would you like to address that?
I think that for the public, they need to understand that no one is doing anything wrong by buying property. I bought that property on Cherry Street to house my businesses. I have my chiropractic office, and then I also have a retail store. That was the whole point, was to start paying myself rent and not pay someone else, continue to pay someone else rent. I'm really not sure where that came from. We all were in the meeting together with the Middle Georgia Consortium. It never came up as it relates to any of the properties that I own here in Macon. And so it was kind of baffling for me when it came to out like it did, saying that it was something somebody was doing for me. This is the statement that I can make right now. I don't know Senator Kennedy. He doesn't know me to even vouch for me to be able to look at myself to like that, to even do something for me like that. I just really believe that it is a ploy to get attention, and so that people can hear what he has to say. But nobody did anything for me. I'm not that popular.
You have had a term now on the Water Authority. So what do you think that the public may not know or understand about you?
I don't know. I think that I've done a very good job of trying to stay community minded. I'm a part of a lot of different organizations that do a lot of good work here in Macon Bibb. I think that if I had to come up with one thing or one statement of something that people may not know, is that every Christmas, when we have the Anita Ponder Christmas feast down at the terminal station, it's me and my mama that's putting that on every year, and we just are uplifting Anita's name with it, and we are proud to do so. But for the last 10 years of that project, me and my mother has been the one that has been securing funding, securing the place, getting the volunteers mobile to continue the legacy of that event. So people may not know that that we're doing a lot of community-minded work out there outside of serving in this capacity.
And why do you think that you're the best candidate to represent District 1, and what would you tell voters about why you're better than your opponent in this position?
Sure. I believe that anytime that you're wanting to serve, especially serving in a capacity where we have millions of dollars, you need to come ready, prepared to understand how to run a business of that type of magnitude. You need to understand how to read pro formas. You need to understand how to read pension documents as it relates to investments and making sure that they are right. I think most people really don't understand all of the requirements that it really takes to sit on a board of this magnitude. It's not just about voting yay or nay. It's about really understanding that at the end of the day, you're running a business. It is a business that needs to be ran properly, and we have fiduciary right to make sure that it is running at its best feasibility. And so if you don't have that kind of background, it's really not on-the-job training kind of position. You really need to understand some of those things or do what it takes to understand those things. And I have a MBA in international business, so I came prepared to sit in that position. I'm from District 1. I've been born and raised. I was, like I stated before, in the district. So I am very passionate about the area because that's what made me who I am. And I want to see that area be the jewel that it once was. And I am poised to be there. I know how you need to act and collaborate with others when you need to get something done. Just being on an island of one does not create change. You have to be able to communicate with all types of people from all different types of backgrounds, and I do have that business acumen and the personality to be able to do that and to continue to do that for District 1.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I did want to let you know that we invited all the candidates to participate in today's discussion, but unfortunately, Ms. Jones' opponent, Eleanor Welch, was not able to be here for the interviews due to some health reasons, and also the MWA chairman candidate, Desmond Brown, did not respond to repeated attempts to schedule him for an interview as well. But we will be publishing candidate profiles before this election, so go to macon-newsroom.com to read more about the candidates for the Macon Water Authority. I'm Civic Journalism Senior Fellow Liz Fabian for the Center for Collaborative Journalism.